Teddy Covers in the house. Teddy, welcome to the show. How are you doing on this Monday morning?
I'm doing okay, Jimmy. Mostly a kiss my sister type of weekend. And I'm really pissed off about the SBR contest. Did you see what I did? I don't know if anyone saw what I did. I talked all week about betting Central Michigan. I bet Central Michigan. Central Michigan killed them. And I went back and looked at my results, and I entered the play the wrong way.
Oh,
which is
no.
something, I entered laying with Eastern. I'm like, oh, my God. It's just, which is something that with a bet, you always double check it. I never walk away without double checking it. Whatever reason, I didn't double check when I entered the contest plays and ended up, I got a right side winner. Oops. I entered the wrong side. So that was pretty frustrating. But nothing exciting, no huge profits, no huge scores. Didn't get crushed. It was just one of those kind of kiss your sister kind of weekends. What about you, Jimmy?
It was a very enjoyable weekend for me. I turned 40 on Friday. So I took Saturday off. So the only college football I did was Thursday and Friday. So I went 2-1 on those games. Although I didn't end up betting San Jose State out of fear. I did give it as official play on Monday, and then through the whole week I didn't end up getting to the window with it. Rafa, could you put up the college football record, though? Very small change. Very small changes. I took Saturday off to celebrate turning 40, which I'm excited about. Getting older in life, this makes me happier. I'm no concerns about getting older at all. It was a fun weekend. And then I went 3-1 in NFL, and I was at
Nice.
200 a pop. So I cleared about 365, 370 in cash on Sunday. And so overall, it was great. It was a very, very fun weekend, and I'm ready to get back to work. And I was going over a lot of plays from you and from the chat, and there was a lot of winners. In the chat, so I wish I had hammered a little more. But, sometimes you just need to regroup. And now I'm very excited to get back at it, which I think if I had tried to pull off Saturday after the celebration on Friday night, it would have just been ugly. So pretty thankful for everything, and I'm ready to get to work. Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, Jimmy. I can still remember my 40th. 39 was a tough one for me. Then you're like, all right, this is the end. This is the last year I ever get. Once you hit 40, it's all right. This is just the way it is from now on. So good. Congratulations on reaching the age of majority. You're on the back half now, buddy. Enjoy.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I think the back half will be smoother than the first half. So I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. Well, let's get to work, Teddy. First off, Monday Night Football. I'm on the over 46. I got that here officially earlier in the week on the show. I bet it at 46.5. We now see 47.5s on the board. Let me pull it up right now. Sorry, I still got baseball up. I now am seeing 48s. 48s. I want that to keep rising. We have seen 4.5s pop up in the last hour. There's now a 4.5 that you wager. I mentioned 4.5 a couple times at Bookmaker. 5s otherwise. I wish I took the Niners at 3.5. I did not. Do you have a look on Monday Night Football?
So I, too, have the over in my pocket. I advise my clients to play the over tonight. That's a wager that makes a ton of sense to me. I'm a believer in Jimmy G and the 49ers offense, and I'm a believer in Mayfield and the Browns offense. I think they got a lot accomplished with the win in Baltimore last week. So I do see touchdowns tonight, and I do expect a relatively high-scoring ball game after another under cash on Sunday Night Football last night. From a side standpoint, what did Guru say? Browns outright? Was that what he said, Jimmy? Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. I don't want an undefeated team off a bye week. That's fat and happy territory. And I continue to look at Cleveland as being a better team than they showed over the first month of the season. I think they figured some stuff out in Baltimore. And I look at them as a bet-on squad moving forward. In the line, again, San Fran has a very impressive statistical profile. Lots of good yardage numbers, lots of good yards per play numbers. Take that with a grain of salt. They played 3 relatively. Look what they did to open the season. Week, and week. And they got the Pittsburgh team when they were most assuredly weak. So I'm not convinced that the 49ers statistical profile is as good as it looks. I'm a San Fran believer. I got over Niners 8 in my pocket for the season win total, but 4.5, 5 is too much. Give me Cleveland plus the points.
Makes sense. I think it's too much as well. The main reason for the over to me is pretty simple, and it's all about the 49ers side of the field. The first off, no Staley with the broken leg. Man, would we need him against Myles Garrett, who looks better and better every game. It looks like he's the best defense player. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say the best with Khalil Mack out there, but a very, very top 3 or 4 defensive player in the NFL. And then Ahkello Witherspoon hurt. So the two most dangerous spots of this Browns team, Odell Beckham and Myles Garrett, are both going to be able to have a much easier time without Staley and Witherspoon. And that is why I'm on the over in this spot. Monday nighter. Both Teddy and I on the over. Are you going to make a move at 5, or are you just going to stick with the over?
I have not bet it yet. I may well bet it before kickoff. We'll see. We'll read the tea leaves today. I'm not convinced I'll bet it, but I would say it's likely that I'll have some, at least a taste of Cleveland in my pocket. And if I take the +5, I'm taking a little bit of money line as well. Just a little sprinkle. See if we can turn a little bit into a lot. Of course, we know how well the road teams have done all season long in the NFL. We know how well the underdogs have done through the first 5 weeks of the campaign. These aren't trends that are going away. And again, you bet all the road teams again yesterday. You made money again yesterday. So no hesitation backing the road squad here in a game that I expect them to be competitive in.
Well, let's go from Monday Night Football to playoff baseball. First off, we have a game popping off in an hour and 10 minutes. Greinke Morton, Game 3, Astros-Rays. I have stayed off of it. At this point. A big market move towards Morton and the Rays. At Pinnacle, Houston opened up at -143. They're now -125, so 18-cent move towards them. The under is starting to get touched a little bit. It actually has gone a 4-cent move since the opening line to the over at Pinnacle, but the under is starting to get touched again. I'm off this game at this point. Do you have a move on Astros-Rays?
The only way I would play it would be Tampa today, and I did not pull the trigger, and I missed the best of the number, and there it was. It was gone. It's a clear Rays spot in theory with Morton at home. A ton of confidence in that team with Morton on the hill. They talked about it. All the quotes coming out of that locker room saying, hey, we felt a whole lot better in the wild card game because we had Charlie Morton out there. And I would expect some of that again today. It's hard to step in front of Greinke. And especially in this price range, and the Astros lineup is in a different stratosphere than the Rays lineup. Like I said, I missed the best of the number. I lean Tampa, but at this stage, I don't bet it.
I'm not going to bet it either. I'm not going to make too many moves in baseball moving forward, but I did take the Cardinals on the -1 line. Dakota Hudson, second half of the season, was very good. I first thing that my eyes look at, of course, is 136 Ks, 86 walks. By far the worst K to walk ratio of any starting pitcher in the playoffs this year. But Keuchel on 3 days rest. I feel like it's almost I know that they weren't even going to put Teheran on the roster, and who am I to say that maybe they should trust him here after what? He allowed 14 runs his last 11 innings. But Keuchel on 3 days rest, first time in his career. I'm getting -123 on the money line and +165 on the run line to make a nice +-1 line. That's how I'm handling the Cardinals here. Do you have a move on Braves Cardinals?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Jimmy. You and I are on the same page today. I don't generally back a lot of teams off a blown save loss in the postseason, especially without a day off and time to regroup. But I'm not buying Atlanta. And there's been one constant for a decade plus in MLB. That's when the Cards face elimination, you just bet on them. That team's been really, for whatever reason, that team has been extraordinarily good in this role. And I know it was different manager, and I know it was different players. That's an organization that I want when they're the backs are to the wall a little bit. I think that series goes to Game 5, and I'm with you on St. Louis. I didn't lay the 1.5. I just, I think laying the price is the way to go with the Cards. I don't do a lot with run lines in the postseason, and I'm not going to talk you out of it. You're maximizing your ROI. But the other issue, again, we talk so much about starting pitching. Jimmy, these games get decided by bullpens. They do. Playoff. If you throw out all the starting pitching in baseball in the postseason and just say, I'm going to focus on whose bullpen can get outs, I think St. Louis is the better of these two pens. And I know that Martinez blew the save yesterday and yada yada. But when the starters come out, I trust the Cardinals bullpen to get outs a little bit more than Atlanta's. St. Louis or pass for this better.
Beautiful. I like it. We are off and rolling. Next up, Scherzer, Hill. And for me, it's simple. We broke it down, this full game down earlier on the show, but to me, it's very simple. If Scherzer was to go get touched for 3 or 4 runs in the first 5, I wouldn't be surprised. If Scherzer doesn't allow a hit in the first 5, I wouldn't be that surprised. I have to stay off of this game. Dodgers, Nationals, do you have a look?
I've had the Dodgers in game 1. I had the Dodgers in game 2. I had the Dodgers in game 3. And you better believe I'm going to have the Dodgers again in game 4 at the plus price. And again, when it comes down to these two bullpens, Scherzer's not going to throw a complete game shutout. If he does, I'll tip my cap to him and I'll lose my bet. But, he came out of the bullpen in game 2. We saw him be somewhat ineffective to open up the playoffs in the wild card game against Milwaukee, where he was touched and he was hit. And once Scherzer leaves the game, no Corbin tonight. Oops, that was a mistake. A pretty big mistake because, whatever. No Corbin available this evening for the Nats. Strasburg's going game 5. He's not coming out of the pen, which means they got to go with the relievers. And I don't want any Washington relievers, not a one of them, against that Dodgers lineup. So I took my chance. I got LA in pocket. And I've advised my clients to do the same. In my mind, it's, and if they lose today, I'll have them again game 5 against Strasburg. I know Strasburg dominated the Dodgers, but this is a Dodgers team that I expect to win the series. They're saying all the right things. They're taking the good at-bats. We saw what they did last night with 2 outs. With 2 outs and 2 strikes. They set an MLB playoff record with 8 RBIs, 2 outs, 2 strikes. That's pretty good. That's what LA's capable of doing. I'll back him again today. And again, no chance for the Nats coming off the pretty ugly loss yesterday. No our chance to rest, recuperate, anything. Got to go back on the field today. I think that could be a problem. Dodgers for me.
Makes sense. And, I was just thinking while you were talking and looking at what we have in store, I was like, there's all these people in other worlds, in other businesses and other things that just despise Mondays. And we get to come back to a fresh week with a playoff Greinke Morton popping off in like an hour and 3 minutes. Yeah. 4 playoff games, Monday Night Football, 2 hockey games. This is incredibly fun, incredibly enjoyable. What a Monday we have in store. Next up, we have Sevi Odorizzi. Sevi and the Yankees open up at minus 137, now at minus 149. This total's crept up 6 cents at Pinnacle from the opening at 9, still at 9. And Sevi only 12 innings this year, coming back from injury, 17 Ks, 6 walks in those 12 innings, hasn't allowed a home run. Odorizzi was great in the second half, except for one spot. That was at Target Field against these Yankees. So then we have these big stats that are just staring us in the face. So first off, 27 of the 30 teams who've won Game 1 and Game 2 have gone on to win the series. That's the easy one. 18 of them have swept. So 18 of 30 times. The team winning the first 2 games has won Game 3, 18 of 30 times. Then we have the Yankees beating the Twins 12 straight times, and the Twins have lost 15 straight postseason games. This is wild. This is a wild, wild baseball game. 60 Fahrenheit tonight at Target Field. Do you have a look on Yankees Twins?
So when it's too obvious, and the Yankees are too obvious here, given all the facts that you said, given that Odorizzi's only bad start came against the Yankees, at Target Field, and the problem the Twins have had, and et cetera, et cetera. And the Yankees are the better of these two teams, and they're the organization that has the more, it's a pretty good organization the Yankees have that you don't want to take lightly. From a side standpoint, I'm not betting it. From a total standpoint, we talked about that at the start of the series. Under the only series I was interested in betting overs in was this series. And we talk about why. I'm like, hey, MLB postseason where overs go to die. But when you have 2 teams that are hitting bombs, well, that can change, obviously. And we've seen this be the only relatively high-scoring series so far. I wouldn't argue with I agree with the over money. I wouldn't argue with the over money. I don't trust Severino yet. I like Odorizzi. I don't trust him against this lineup. And I would not be surprised at all if tonight's game is, once again, going over the total. Even though that game 2 sat there at 8-1, felt like 100 years before they finally got the Twins got the top of the ninth when they scored the second run. They got there, and I would expect runs in bunches again tonight. I like the over.
Yeah, I that makes sense to take the over here. Really, really does. I wonder if I should make the move now. It makes sense. We'll talk more about it throughout the day today, but I don't want to come back here and see a 9.5.
Let me jump in real quick.
Yeah.
If you want the over, I would do it sooner rather than later. All the leading indicator books are telling us that this total is not likely to go down anytime soon.
I do like the over. I really, really do here with Severino Odorizzi. I mean, even if Severino throws a gem, you know that the Yanks can get to Odorizzi. BMAC23 says cold and mini tonight, 60 Fahrenheit. 60 Fahrenheit. I mean, it was cold in New York in Game 1. What do you think about the 60 Fahrenheit keeping the scores down?
I don't think I'm not worried about a 60 Fahrenheit like I would be worried about a 40 Fahrenheit. We'll get there before October is done. But that's not going to talk me out of an over.
You know, I'm going to make a move now on it. I'm going to make a move now on the over 9 right now. So let's see. Line shopping quickly. Sorry, I was on college football. Let me just quickly go back to MLB here. And totals here at sportsbookreview.com SBR odds page. And I'm getting a 9 over 9 at minus 115. And that's available at Bet365 Heritage and 5 dimes. And when Bet365 goes to minus 115, they don't go to minus 120. They go up to 9.5. So that should be happening very, very good. Dutch Boy Fresh says so many bats and suspect pitching over. I agree. And Guru says 60 not cold for Minnesota, maybe in Cali, but not here. I agree with all of that. Okay, there we go. I've made my second play in MLB Yankees Twins. Let's move on to college football. So we've already had Matt Randall give us his Monday looks. And so far this year, on his Monday looks, he's 13-7, looking pretty good. We have Wednesday night football, a couple games on Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. So I have Matt Randall's looks in my pocket ready to ask you. But let's ask Teddy Covers, what are the spots that jumped out at you when you first took a look at this card?
So first, I want to compliment you for using the SBR odds page and finding the best available number. You cannot find better than 9 minus 115 anywhere right now on that over. And that's one of the benefits of, having that page bookmarked and using it every single day. I encourage you, so well done, Jimmy. Which is not, you know what you're doing, obviously. We talk about Monday looks. I made 4 bets.
Ooh.
They were all around key numbers. I don't know if I'm going to hold any of them, but I'm looking to get in around the key numbers. Last week, I also made 4 bets right off the opener. Split them out 2 and 2. Let me get if you want me to recap. I bet Troy, Missouri over. That was fun.
Oh man.
That was really fun.
I'm sorry to interrupt
there. I was a loser. I bet Ole Miss. That was a winner. I bet Army. That was a loser. I bet Central. I didn't bet Central, but I was going to bet Central. That was a winner. That was a 4 looks from last Monday. I was waiting for the 7. Never got the 7. I got 6.5 in pocket, though. This week, again, and just random that it was 4 bets last week and 4 bets this week. What I'm mostly doing is looking for stuff that I expect the number to move. So this is what I bet. I bet Nevada, game number 182. Nevada minus 2.5 against Hawaii. They're not playing Hawaii. Yeah, they are. No, they just played Hawaii. Hang on a second. Who the hell did I bet?
San Jose State.
That was Fresno. What the hell am I doing?
Nevada, San Jose State?
I'm getting all San Jose. Thank you. I wrote down the wrong team. I'm like, I just wrote down what I bet, and then I'm like, who's the next? Yeah, Nevada 2.5 against San Jose. So San Jose State, I don't know. Again, the final scores look great. San Jose, the last 3 weeks, covering. They're plus 11 in turnovers, plus 4, plus 2, plus 5. We have Nevada coming off a really embarrassing. I mean, they got humiliated at home by Hawaii, then they had a bye week. I think the spot is right, and I love the fact that San Jose, nobody's looking at turnover margin in college football. So when you find a team that's plus 11 the last 3 weeks, and they've covered 3 weeks in a row, you go, oh, wow, they're really good. Well, then maybe take a step, take that with a grain of salt. And, of course, the 2.5, the key there, was because we're worried that this, the line's going to move to 3. It already moved. It was starting to move to 3 at a lot of books. So I locked in at 2.5. Gainer 197, Fresno. So 2 in the Mountain West. Nevada minus 2. I took Fresno plus 3.5 against Air Force. Air Force is coming off they had a huge game against Boise, and then a national TV game against San Jose, and then the big game against Navy. And now they're laying a price here against a Fresno team coming off a bye. And I know that Fresno's defense has had 0 success against Air Force. Of course, the last time Fresno faced Air Force wasn't in the current era at Fresno with Jeff Tedford. I thought that I wasn't sure the hook was going to last there. So I took Fresno plus 3.5, put that in pocket again, number 197. This one's mostly gone now. 137. It took Iowa State minus 9.5 at West Virginia. It's mostly 10s now. Even at 10, I wouldn't hesitate to lock in on this one. West Virginia defensively is a little bit dicey, and Iowa State showed us that's the Iowa State team we expect to see all year. Last week against TCU, that squad has woken up, and with 2 early season losses, that's a mission team right now. Iowa State, they're pretty good, and I thought, again, at 9.5, I wanted to get it before it got to double digits. If you shop around, there were still a couple of 9.5s that I saw right before I came on air, but the broader market has moved to 10 on that game, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up further. And last but not least, betting number 151, I took the Washington Huskies minus 6.5 at Arizona. Market's crashing on Washington a little bit. I'm not crashing on Washington. This team's like Iowa State last week. They're really good. They're really good defensively. They played a couple of games that didn't work out their way. I think there's value with the Huskies here against an Arizona team that might be a little fat and happy off that win at Colorado. And I don't see Khalil Tate having a big game in this one. So, and again, by the key number, I wanted the 6.5 in pocket. Wasn't sure if that was going to move to 7. It might not. But when you're seeing something at 6.5 and you're like, all right, do I, don't I? Unless you see indicators it's going to go to 7, sometimes I'll pull. So I pulled minus 6.5 on Washington, and we'll see if it goes to 7. I did well. If it goes down, then I'm an idiot. But it wouldn't be the first time, and it won't be the last time.
I love it. It's so exciting hearing your early looks to the week. And I, as much as I was celebrating all weekend, I was following that Troy, Missouri spot. And, 3 points in the second half, I was just, I couldn't, it's just.
Well, so let me talk about the game real quick. So obviously, you have 49 at the break for an over 66 and 66 and a half. I know a lot of people had the hook or even a little higher than that, but and a close 65. The late money came on the under. So we have 49 at the break, but Kelly Bryant got hurt on the last touchdown pass right before halftime, and he got hurt on kind of a cheap shot. I thought Missouri might come out in the second half and be, hey, screw you guys, punch in but they came out in the second half and just say, hey, let's kill clock. We're not going to worry about our backup QB right now, and their backup quarterback is not very good. Which we know now if Bryant is hurt this week that Missouri may not be a bet on. We'll see what his injury situation was, but that was pretty frustrating when you have it half right and then it just doesn't break at all. And I got half wrong. I thought Troy was going to be able to move the football against Missouri's defense. They couldn't. So and then in that sense, I didn't deserve to win the bet.
It was just unlucky. I was following that and following a bunch of different cappers action, but just staying on the sidelines. Let's talk about action that we have popping out. And if you guys have questions, start throwing them my way. I've copied and pasted a few questions for Teddy. Let's start looking at Matt Randall's early looks and hear what Teddy Covers has to say about Matt Randall. Again, Matt Randall's early looks, his Monday looks are 13-7 so far. And Noli knows, said Jimmy NHL, I'm on St. Louis, Toronto under 6. Noli knows, I get that, but sitting there yesterday at 6.5 is when we should have pulled the trigger on that total. And so even if I think that's the right direction, I'm just not going to do it with that half goal gone. But I get why you think that way. It's going to be a very exciting game in Canada's center of the universe in Toronto. Okay, let's get to it. First off, we have a spot here, 141-142, Ball State, Eastern Michigan. Open at Pinnacle with Ball State at -1, now -2.5. And our Matt Randall likes Eastern Michigan at home at +2. What's your first take on Matt Randall's first play on Monday?
I agree wholeheartedly. It's on the short list already. I didn't pull the trigger on it, and it's a game that I wanted to look at. But what happened last week at Central Michigan, first of all, that's not the Eastern Michigan squad that we know. They played a bad game. Second is we talked all this time about how we really like Central, and Central's a really undervalued commodity. And third, you have a Ball State team coming off an outright upset win at Northern Illinois, a game where they were out-yarded by more than 100 yards. And rallied, 24-3 second half. I'll give them credit. They played a heck of a second half against the Huskies. But that had a lot to do with turnovers. I think Eastern is the better of these two teams. And frankly, this is why I'm surprised this line is where it is. What's my number on that game? What's the 341? Or 141, I should say. I thought my number came a little short. Yeah. My number came Eastern 141, 142. My number came Eastern -1. for whatever it's worth. So that might be one I should bet today. I'm going to look at that maybe when we get off air. Good call, man. I wouldn't talk you out of Eastern Michigan at all.
All right, we are off and rolling right now. Next spot on Matt's card, 121, 122, Louisville at 19th ranked, Wake Forest. Wake Forest opening at -6.5, and they are still there, and that is who Matt Randall's backing. Wake Forest at -6.5. What do you think there?
So Louisville's had some pretty ugly defensive numbers of late. And by pretty ugly, I mean really ugly. The Florida State, they give up 522 yards. Against Boston College, it was 563. And once you start seeing teams coming off a bye and then getting smacked around defensively, the defense couldn't hold the lead, couldn't hold the cover in that game. That's a big concern. For me, all that being said, it's not like with the Demon Deacons defense is all that, I mean, they too gave up over 500 yards to Boston College. But, of course, the big difference, Wake coming off the bye, and we talk about October buys. We talk about, especially, October buys maybe more than any. These buys are very meaningful. When you have, you played 4 or 5 weeks in a row, you get a chance to rest, regroup. The coaching staff gets a little time off. They get to really break down film. Your adjustments for teams coming off a bye at this time of the year need to be at least a point or more from your true powering number. So, all that said, I'm not convinced that Wake's a touchdown better than Louisville. My gut reaction here has me looking at the over before I looked at the side, and that's just my gut, my Monday morning take.
Okay, that is the next spot. We have very exciting spots that Matt Randall's on right now. The next is a very interesting spot. 179, 187 ranked Florida at 5th ranked LSU, and Matt Randall likes Florida Gators plus this 13.5 point spread. What do you think of back in the dog here against a very dangerous LSU?
And for what it's worth, my line for Louisville Wake Forest was Wake -7. So it's certainly not a game where my powering numbers say anything but Wake in that contest. My Florida LSU number, powering number was 11.5. I was wrong about Florida last week. They were the better team than Auburn, although that had a lot to do with Auburn. Bo Nix did not play well. I'm not stepping in front of LSU right now. Not going to do it. So I don't argue with the concept. Certainly, this is a step up in defensive class for LSU, but I haven't seen anything that makes me think that Florida can trade points with that team. And LSU is not a team I'm still viewing Florida at a different class level than the Georgias / Alabamas / who the hell are they playing?
Florida LSU.
Man, it's Monday morning. Florida, yeah. I just don't put Florida in that same category as the Georgia, Alabama, and the other elite teams from the SEC West. So and LSU's who they're playing. That's what I couldn't think of up here. I'm sitting there going, no, they just beat Auburn, and I said that there was a class difference between Auburn and Florida last week, and there wasn't. I still think that Georgia, and I think that has to do with offensively. Alabama, Georgia, LSU have an offense that is, we've seen it now, it's better than Auburn's. And I'm not stepping in front of LSU. But at the same time, you got a good read on it. I mean, if you're riding Florida, ride them. I got no problem with that. You had a good defensive underdog catching double digits. It's not a game I'm going to bet personally. So when I'm not betting something, I don't want to talk anyone out or in. I'll just tell you what I'm thinking about the game. And my thought is that LSU is a different animal than what Florida just faced.
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense. LSU, a very, very dangerous, strong squad. The last look on Matt Randall's Monday card is, well, I have it right in front of me. Here we go. And you've already talked about it. Iowa State, West Virginia. He's on the other side backing West Virginia with the points. So we've already broken down that game, so we know what Teddy feels there. So let's get into questions. We have questions coming in for Teddy. First off, our guy Jaden Belanger says, Jimmy, can you... Oh, and we just did that. Sorry. Okay, we just handled Florida LSU from Jaden Belanger. Okay, from Jin. Jin's first look on this card is App State money line. Let me get to App State. Sorry, I should give you a number here.
It's right at the top of the card.
Yeah, on Wednesday, App State Louisiana Lafayette opened at -1, is now -3 at Pinnacle on a plus line. What do you think of backing App State this Wednesday?
My line is App State -3, and I'll tell you exactly what they're betting. Okay, they're betting yardage. That's why Lafayette's getting the money here. Lafayette against Liberty plus 231, against Texas Southern plus 512, against Ohio U plus 109, against Georgia Southern plus 188. They've had these huge yardage edges, and of course they are 5-0 against the spread so far this season. So we're not talking about a monster betting bandwagon, but it is something of a betting bandwagon. And when you have a team like that, and again, a lot of it's turnovers, although they were -2 against Georgia Southern and still won the game by 2 scores. And of course, in this instance, both teams rested off the bye. But I think App State, again, from the eye test, App State's the better of these two teams. And that's the only way I would look in this one. I agree with the take.
I like it. Jin's next look is on Thursday, 107-108, Syracuse, NC State. Liking NC State minus the 3.5 that's available right now. It did open at -3. What do you think about his look on NC State?
So my number for the game came NC State 3. NC State's last win and cover came week 1 against East Carolina. You know what I mean? All this team has done since then is disappoint. I'm not super excited about NC State right now. I'm not, to be perfectly honest. So, and it's not, again, this isn't a situation where I'm running to the window to bet Syracuse. I'm not sold on Syracuse either. Not even a little bit. Cash that ticket with them against Liberty, and that's the only time I've bet Syracuse this year, and I am not in any hurry to do it again necessarily. Not a game I'm going to get involved with, likely.
The next look on Jin's card is on Thursday evening, the final game, 105-106, Louisiana Monroe, Texas State. He's backing Louisiana Monroe minus 2.5. It did open at -3. What do you think of that look, ULM?
Yeah, so my number came Monroe -5. And maybe I'm giving their offense too much credit, but, I mean, that offense has moved the football against everybody. They put up 575 against Memphis. They put up 419 against Florida State. And obviously, the Warhawks, some of that has to do with even the Iowa State game where they got blown off the field and gave up 45 after halftime in that contest. They had 13 at the break. They moved the football in that contest. But we talked about the bye. I didn't put enough for the bye here. Texas State is coming off a week off, and they played a little bit of defense. Which is something that Louisiana Monroe is a little bit short on. But my number says you want the road team here. Not one that I've got a strong opinion on Monday morning.
We have more questions coming in here. I got Jay Money with the question. I also got Brody with the question. He says, Teddy Covers, I understand you're a Michigan alum, and I'm sure you have faith in your alma mater, but Michigan's offense is awful. Shea Patterson's looking bad. Do you think Michigan covers -20 at Illinois?
So let me make this very clear, okay? I have no hesitation betting against my alma. When I graduated Michigan, my senior year, I'm going to swear. Jimmy, is that okay? You mind if I drop an F-bomb?
I would be honored.
Okay. Michigan fucked me my senior year for financial aid. Absolutely fucked me. They're like, okay, you're close to graduating, ha ha. And they left me with all this unmet need, and there was a political, whatever. And then after that, Michigan, the Fab Five was my favorite team of all time. Bar none. Loved, knew those guys, loved those guys, respected that team to the utmost. And then they voluntarily took down the banners. There was Mary Sue Robinson, the president at the time. Oh, we're gonna self-comply. I got no love lost for Michigan. All right, and no problem betting against the Wolverines. Well, Wolverines were playing for the national title. I bet against them. Yes, I'm a Michigan alumni, but when it comes to seeing things clearly for Michigan, I got no problems fading this squad. All that being said, I think Michigan is still undervalued. All right, Illinois' defense ain't Iowa's defense. All right, not close. And this is a step down in defensive class for the Wolverines. And it's not like their offense is hopeless. Right? They've made a lot of mistakes. They haven't been sharp. Shea Patterson hasn't been good. It's not a hopeless unit. Iowa's defense is hopeless. Or Illinois' defense is hopeless. If you watch the Minnesota game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They had no chance in that game. The Gophers did whatever they wanted to. They ran over Illinois, and it's not a cheap price to lay with the Wolverines. I'm not going to get to the betting window with Michigan this week, but I'm not excited about the Illinois side of the equation.
You're getting a ton of love. Ton of love from the chat. Touch Boy Fresh says, Teddy got me rolling this morning. Bookie Lover Q, Teddy is hilarious. Jason Kelly, Teddy is straight fire today. I love it. Let's move on to another look. This one from our NBA expert, Jay Money is Money, a.k.a. Revenge Game Jay. He wants to know 191, 192. He says, love Army -4 over Western Kentucky. Teddy covers. What do you think about Army over Western Kentucky?
191, 192. My number is Army 7. So it certainly points in that direction. And it's a situation where, Tulane looked good last week, didn't they? I mean, that was impressive, what Tulane was able to do against that Army defense. Western Kentucky's not going to do that against Army's defense. That being said, Western Kentucky's got, again, you look for these smaller conference schools that have a defense, and they're going to be good point spread teams. And Western Kentucky has that level of defense where they're shutting teams down, where they're capable of shutting teams down, where they're capable of forcing turnovers in bunches. And that it does concern me laying a price here with Army. My number says Army. I don't know that I get to the betting window with it. That's one I'll think about.
Gonna keep thinking about this one. Let's close. There's my guy Ish Kurt in the house. Let's close on a big late game on Saturday. Nuclear Skull says USC covers. Tom Marino says book is inconsistent. I'd lean USC if I can get 11. USC Notre Dame 199-200. Notre Dame opening up at -11 and -109. They're still there -11 and -108, but all the other books have moved to 11.5. What do you think about this spot backing USC off the bye?
So from a straight talent standpoint, there's a single-digit margin between these two teams. And every time I watch USC, I'm like, man, you're like, these receivers can make plays, and the offensive line's ready to go to the NFL, and the defense has, USC's got a ton of NFL talent. They probably has as much NFL talent or close to it as Notre Dame does, maybe more. So from a straight talent standpoint, I can't get to the window with the Irish. But USC, they've lost a turnover battle 3 games in a row, and they managed to cover once while doing that, winning the game straight up, despite losing the turnover battle against Utah. But they're just not a clean football team. Even off a bye, I don't trust USC to be clean. If I had to play the game, I could only take the Trojans plus. That's the bottom line. And I'm always reluctant to back a team like a Notre Dame, coming off that big blowout. Oh, they killed Bowling Green, and they killed Virginia in a game where they were +4 in turnovers. If I had to play the game, yeah, it would be USC or pass. But right now, I'm not really close to getting the window with USC. But yeah, I do see your point. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Trojans give them a game.
We'll let Lock and 24/7 close this up on Betting with the Bag here with our special guest every morning, Teddy Covers. He's wondering about this spot, Boise State -11.5. 139, 140 is the rotation number. And Nuclear Skull says Hawaii covers versus Boise. Boise State opening -13.5, now -11.5, a 2-point move towards Hawaii at Pinnacle. Can Hawaii cover this big dog spot here on the mainland?
So this is, it's a very disappointing matchup for me. I really like to be betting on Hawaii this week. I'd like to be betting on Hawaii moving forward. I don't know that I get there here. That's a tough matchup for Hawaii against Boise's defense. And when Hawaii can't score, their defense isn't going to get stops. I think that the Warriors are very much a bet-on team. I'm looking for spots to be betting on Hawaii. I agree with the assessment 100%. And my number on the game came relatively short. It came 12.5. So, but I thought it was going to open 14. And I'm like, oh, my number's a little bit short. And then, of course, it opened 13 and got bet down, or 13.5 and got bet down. Both these teams have been good ATS. but I worry about Boise's defense shutting Hawaii down. My best case scenario here is Boise kills them, and the markets say, oh, well, Hawaii's no good, and they downgrade Hawaii off of that. I think we'll make money with the Warriors moving forward. But this is not a good matchup for Hawaii from a defensive standpoint, and from either side of the football standpoint, to be honest. I'm not excited about Hawaii this week. Although I'm like you. I want to be betting on that team. And off of, maybe we do get there. I don't know, off a bye. Hawaii's guys like them. Hawaii's good. Hawaii's better than advertised. Monday morning look. I lean Hawaii. I doubt I bet it.
Very exciting getting these Monday looks and a lot of interesting angles. Thank you so much for joining us. Our guy, Teddy Covers. Follow Teddy on Twitter. He's very, very active, very exciting. Follow Teddy _Covers.